Well, welcome everybody. We're going to get started in just a minute. We have a special show tonight. It's called Unscripted with the Kangaroo, the blockchain sniffing kangaroo. That's Rarma. And we're going to talk about this pretty big Cosmos exploit. Might be the first one, the first real Cosmos IBC specific exploit. We're going to get the damage report from Rarma, how it happened. Can it happen again? Was it an inside job? Did people know this could happen ahead of time? I'm your host, Joe, by the way. Thanks for joining on this Wednesday evening. And there we go. We got some news as well. So it's not all bad. We're going to talk about the news a little bit, but first things first, want to shout out the sponsor, Shade Protocol, privacy preserving DeFi on the Secret Network, and also Kinetics Finance, a AI-powered perps DEX on Kava and soon to be Base. Might be moving into some short positions myself. FOMC meeting today, and the Fed kept interest rates stable, and they teased that there might be a decrease in September. We'll see. I'll believe it when I see it. Got Timmy in the chat. What's up, Timmy? Got Ambito in the chat. Ambito is sniffing out some blockchain explorers himself over there. We got Cosmoverse budget being questioned, and rightfully so. We had Cartel go to zero. I always say token's going to go to zero. This is going to go to zero. It's really hard for something to actually go to zero, but it looks like we had our first zero. UST kind of went to zero, but Cartel, gaming platform on Kujira, that sucks. But this is the Wild West. This is crypto, and you need to be careful. You got to proceed with caution. These ICOs and token launches are great, but you got to know what you're getting into and allocate accordingly. But I see some people piling in here. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about this exploit for the first time ever. I've got almost the same number of YouTube views as Twitter views. That's interesting. People want to actually hear the audio, I guess. Eric, what's up, man? Yeah, I went with the shave this week, and I don't think I'm going back. My beard went completely white in the last, 3-4 months. I can't afford Just for Men anymore, so I might just go with the shave. And I think it's appropriate. I told you guys in a previous stream that this is the ladies' choice for Cosmos-focused, crypto-focused content on YouTube. So just trying to look young. My kid was just yelling. I had to put her in her place. So, but yeah, I'm going to keep the shave going, I think, at least for the summer. I don't want tan lines on the side of my face, for sure. It looks weird. No, it's not 2 a.m. in Australia. Is it? It's tomorrow in Australia. I think it's like 11 a.m. tomorrow in Australia. I'm pretty sure anyway. But man, oh man, let's get into some stuff while we await Rarma's arrival. Let me make sure I send him the right link. And let's see what we got here. No, we don't have Airdrop Madness. That was a video that I did today for Omniflix. So I'm going to just take 1 minute to do news. Actually is some big news today. So I just typed crypto news because I didn't plan to go live today. And what do we got? El Salvador has proposed settling trade with crypto. Russia has legalized Bitcoin mining, and they're looking to get around some sanctions, which are, obviously crypto can be used to do that, I guess, not going through the traditional banking system, which every nation is connected to, except I believe Iran and North Korea are the only two that are not connected to the world banking system. But El Salvador obviously shifting to Bitcoin-centric economy. Now Russia and El Salvador will propose doing business with crypto. Hey, that's great, as long as you're not using the Terra network, I guess. And then I mentioned earlier, Powell saying September rate cut is possible. I've said on previous streams many times, and I'll turn the music off. The interest rate decides everything. When the interest rates start going down, we turn to a risk on market. Is there anything riskier than crypto? No. So lower interest rates, obviously better for crypto and better for housing as well. So I feel like at some point they have to lower rates. I don't think they can go to zero, but what do I know, right? I'm just a Joe. I'm just the host of this show. And yeah, I'm here for Dead Cat Media, and I produce crypto and Web3 content for you, the end user, the most important piece of this puzzle. We talk about everything crypto related from the early adopter, the end user point of view, and we even speculate on tokens, right? That's fun. Right? Don't get me wrong. I enjoy the fun stuff, but we are in the Wild West, as we'll see today. And man, oh man, you got to proceed with caution. You got to manage your risk, know your limits, and maybe don't ape into either networks that have a history of rugging or being rugged, or aping into new projects that have zero to no liquidity. Man, oh man, I'm an end user myself, and I navigate this space, track important trends that impact my bags. Hopefully, you're interested in your bags as well, and we'll go on this educational, informational, fun journey together, of course. And if you're joining for the first time, which many of you are in the live stream, and I know this because YouTube sends me data, and many people are not subscribed, just subscribe. If you've watched it once, you'll watch it again. If not, you think the content's boring or not for you, you just unsubscribe. So that is the spiel. We don't have to look at prices. We'll have Rarma coming in a second. But in the meantime, I'm going to shout out the chat just a little bit. So, man, oh man, Rarma is going to take us through this this exploit, this hack, this highway robbery, Terra ecosystem. They are in trouble. We talked about Terraform Labs going through that SEC case and just reading some of the transcript. I mean, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what they were thinking. It seemed like to me they were simply stringing this whole process out as long as possible to collect obscene salaries at the expense of the community, while at the same time saying, yes, community, we're a community chain. It's all about the community. Um, some of those bonuses were in the millions despite epic fails on every level, whether it be code, marketing, hard selling their indestructible stablecoin. But yeah, we'll get Rarma in here. And I'm going to put up his new title. So, where are you, Rarma? Did I send you the wrong link? Waiting for Rarma to hop on in here. Yeah. So let me bring him in. I don't even see you. How do I bring in? He's here. How do I bring him in? Oh, I see you. You're over here. Whoa,
I'm really
new
close.
software for me. New software for me, and usually you pop up over here, but you popped up over here this time. How you doing, man?
It's because I'm in Australia, mate. It's opposite, upside down. That's why.
I don't know if you've ever left Australia. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, so I don't blame you if you never have. I heard the toilet flushes the opposite way.
It does, yeah. Not just the toilet, but like all water. When you flush it down a drain, it goes the other way.
I think that a lot of Americans, they say like you should never like take acid and then look at yourself in the mirror. You probably shouldn't take acid and then vomit in an Australian toilet bowl, then flush it and watch it go down. That was a joke.
Yeah, right. No, I'm wondering why I'm so big on your screen. I'm gonna have to like move my webcam because I'm way too close.
I can make myself bigger, but I can't make you smaller.
Yeah, maybe I'm just large. I'll just move my camera back, so I didn't want to give everyone a headache. You don't want to see my face that big. It's not that good looking.
Well, last time you were on, I think we saw your underwear,
It was just shorts. Like, calm
your
down.
ruse.
Come on, guys.
Ah,
Yeah. Well, while I'm fixing up my camera, what a 24 hours, hey. Big day yesterday. I woke up to the cart devs rugging.
okay, so let's start with let's ease in to the 8-figure, 9-figure exploits. So let's talk about Kujira. Kujira, look, they have lots of little communities that are launching projects. They actually have lots of apps and lots of apps coming, lots of project tokens. I'm very weary of project tokens. I don't like DAO tokens, especially. But these projects, they want to have their own token. Cool. Give it a shot. I kind of expect most of them to not be audited, their contracts. I expect most of them to be extremely poorly thought out. What happened with Cartel, their gaming platform? Did they really raise 600,000, or was that just the market cap of the token when it got hacked?
No, so from my understanding, in Pilot, they swapped kind of USK, sorry, for their cart token to the tune of 600K.
Okay, so they raised 600K, and one of their insiders knew of an exploit in the contract, the staking contract. A lot of tokens were staked.
Got to go back a step. So a couple of days prior to that, I was tagged in, I can't remember where, X or TG or something, to come and look at some on-chain activity around an exploit with Cart. So I jumped in and had a quick look, and from what I could see, there was nothing on-chain really that kind of identified that that there was a direct exploit. Because the game is completely off-chain. So essentially, when you play the car, the crash car game, you deposit tokens into another address, and then that address runs the game completely off-chain. So when you deposit your tokens into the game to play it, you're essentially just transferring ownership of those tokens to their wallet, and then you play the game offline, and then if you win or lose, you have the option of withdrawing those tokens back into your wallet.
This is how most games have to be played when crypto's involved. That's how almost all the poker games happen. You send your tokens to a team, and then they credit you in the gaming platform with fake money, and then you cash out through, at best, a multi-sig, right? So
yep. So I looked at that, and I could kind of see that it wasn't an on-chain exploit in this instance. So I kind of said to everyone that was wondering, you've got to just trust the team's report, kind of whatever they come back with. You've got to trust that they're being honest and they're being true, because it's all off-chain. And then so the team came back and said, there was an exploit in kind of their front end around being able to create multiple accounts for the game using one wallet. So my assumption is create an account using a wallet, log out, create a new account with the wallet, log out. When you log back in and deposit funds, because it's associated with your wallet, their app was saying that you deposited twice, once into each account. You could then switch accounts and withdraw more money than you actually deposited.
Got it.
So, and a kind of app and front end type.
So a player could have done that.
Yeah, it could have been a normal person. I would say that you would have to be reasonably sophisticated or stumble across it to
stumble across it. Yeah.
Yep. So I tracked the transactions. They went back through Binance Smart Chain and Ethereum to Change Now Exchange with the help of Ray, as usual, kind of sleuthing together, tracking it and kind of linking it to various exchanges, etc. And then kind of just provided them a report and left it. 2 or 3 days later, watching the podcast, Dark Side of Crypto, and towards the end, someone goes, "How about that cart price?" And I went and had a look at the chart and saw it rugged. Went and looked on chain, and this time it appears like a straight rug. Whether it was the team itself, which seems unlikely from what I hear, the kind of people are saying that they hired a dev, and the dev had admin access to the contracts. They simply had ownership of the contracts. They were able to unlock all of the staked assets and take them and dump them out the exact same path that they did before. So between the two exploits, they both did the same thing. They both went through Binance Smart Chain, both went out through Change Now Exchange to the tune of kind of around 220, 240K, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's more than I thought it was. All right. I mean, and now Kujira stablecoin is a little rocky trying to get back to its peg, I guess. I don't know if that's related or occasionally these stablecoins go through a slight depeg for a couple hours a day and find their way back. Is that a concern or is it unrelated?
I think Kuji's USK has always had kind of small depegs. So long as people trust and believe in the kind of Kuji ecosystem and the ARB opportunity, people will always buy it back up to $1. I think it's been around kind of 97, 98 cents, 4 or 5 times now due to various issues, market conditions, etc. It always seems to find its way back to kind of $1. So I wouldn't be overly concerned there. I know that they had some concerns around how much USK was being minted against assets and then swapped out to USDC and used in other DeFi ecosystems. So they've implemented a few things to try and fix that, create more demand for USK and that sort of stuff. So I wouldn't be overly concerned.
So would you call this a $600,000 exploit, a 200 some odd $1,000 exploit?
The cart one is around 200,000 approximately.
Cart, okay.
200, 250. Yeah.
All right. Well, somehow I avoided that bullet twice. I was planning on taking part in the pilot sale. And I just didn't for some reason. I think I had sometimes I just kind of know if it's something I'm going to have to monitor day to day, I don't want to hold the token. And that's kept me out of a lot of problems. And it kept me out of a lot of NFT rugs as well. So that was the good rug in Cosmos yesterday. Let's talk about the bad one. And before we even get started on the Terra IBC tether hack, I always tell everybody IBC has never been exploited. It's much better than ETH bridges. And you're perfectly safe moving tokens around, right? So far. And then I talked to Reese one time, and then I talked to the founder of Thorchain another time, and they basically made me realize these are just internal bridges, and there's no multi-sig. There's a validator set, but it's a bridge. And I was like, all right,
it's a permissionless bridge.
Maybe I'll stop saying that then, because bridges are bridge. As you have to trust the networks themselves, and yeah, I'd rather trust a validator set of 100, 200 people than a multi-sig of 3 people that know each other. But fast forward to April of this year, I was told that there is an exploit of IBC whereby someone on one chain could either collude with a relayer or knock out the relayer somehow and mint tokens by doing kind of a fake, an incomplete transfer across the bridge, let's say from Osmosis to Atom, and the tokens appear on the other side, but they never leave the home chain. Is this similar to what happened?
Not quite accurate in your kind of assumption. Yeah. So
okay.
To start with, I guess what I would say is for IBC, I think particular people like to say that IBC has never been hacked or exploited because it's kind of the one thing going for it and one thing going for Cosmos. So from a kind of brand and narrative perspective, it's very important that IBC has never been exploited, right?
I'd say
there's always a reason or an excuse, like it's a third-party module like IBC hooks in this instance, or packet forward middleware in other instances where there's patches and bugs and stuff like that. Regardless, these are components that make IBC happen and a functionality within IBC that are being exploited to fundamentally break the IBC functionality, which is the minting and burning of tokens. Right. So in my mind, I don't care if it's a third party module. It is functionality that's being introduced into IBC that is breaking the fundamental principles of IBC, which is minting and burning of tokens. So I would say that IBC has been exploited in this instance because tokens were minted that should never have been minted. Whether it was exploited via the hooks module or not, it broke IBC.
Right. Okay.
So to give you the details.
Just explain in general terms. the minting and burning of tokens. So you mean like, let's say I'm on chain number 1 and I want to move, let's say USDC to chain number 2.
What happens?
Basically, simultaneously, USDC is burned and then new tokens are minted on the destination chain, basically.
So when you move tokens from the source chain, so let's use Noble to Terra as an example. You have Noble USDC on the Noble chain. That is a real token that has been minted on that chain and it exists. That's the home chain. When you execute an IBC transfer to Terra, the tokens that you move, let's say 1 Noble USDC, they get put into what's called an escrow account. And if I get any of this wrong, please, correct me. I'm doing my best. They get put into an escrow account. They then get relayed over to the Terra chain, and an account there mints those tokens for the other side of the IBC channel. It then says these tokens need to be forwarded to you as the recipient, and it then transfers those tokens to your account. You now have 1 USD. So on the home chain, 1 USDC is locked in the escrow account. And on the destination chain, they have minted a derivative of the 1 USDC as an IBC token and sent it to your address. When you choose to bring that token home, it says, I'm going to return this token. The relayer says, yes, we have a token that exists on the other side. You are allowed to relay this, sends it back, burns the USD on Terra, and releases it from the escrow on the Noble side. Tried my best to give a kind of a good understanding of how it works.
Okay, so bird's eye view here. Astroport goes down like 70%. I wouldn't call it a major DEX in the ecosystem, $8 million, $12 million market cap, something like that. But it's a DEX that exists on multiple chains. So did that facilitate this, or was it irrelevant which token was used to because it was mostly Tether that was off ramped, right, from this exploit?
No, so most of the funds were USD, Axelar USDC.
Okay, so bridged USDC. Okay.
Yeah, and it's super interesting. So the way in which it was exploited was specifically the Terra chain wasn't patched to remove this exploit or vulnerability in IBC hooks. So what it does is enables the hacker, exploiter, whatever you want to call them, when you do an IBC transfer, there's a couple of functions that you can call within the transfer. I'll try not to get too technical, but you basically call kind of message transfer and timeout. And then there's another function called on timeout. What it does is it says, I'm going to relay this packet, but we're going to time it out. And then when it times out, we're going to call another function when it comes back. This enables the exploiter to say, I'm going to transfer these tokens, but when we transfer them, we want to kind of receive them back on another address. And it tricks the IBC module or hooks module and the relayer in saying that we've relayed these packets, so we need to perform a refund of this amount of tokens to a certain address. And that's how the exploit happens. So by calling it multiple times, you can kind of trick the module or the relayers into saying, we need to return these tokens to the person and refund them the amount of tokens that they transferred when they never actually had those tokens.
Okay. Could someone do this for a long period of time in very, very small amounts without a token losing 80% of its value and setting off all kinds of alarms?
Yeah, the whole principle of it is, though, the tokens have to be minted on the chain that you're exploiting. So in this instance, the exploiter took all of the available Axelar USDC, USDT that was minted over IBC on Terra. There was 2.5 or 3 million USDC, Axelar USDC, and 350,000 USDT and 2 Bitcoin. That was what was minted over IBC. So that was what they could take because that existed. If they did $100 every couple of days and more USDC was being minted in to kind of maintain the peg, they could have gone for as long as until someone realized it.
Okay, so and I'm guessing they off ramp this via Axelar back to Ethereum.
Yep. We've got the wallet tagged. Kind of chatting to Zach XBT a little bit yesterday. He went and got it tagged in Etherscan. And I just checked it this morning, actually, and they've just started off ramping it to like a random third-party exchange.
Okay,
EXCH is the exchange. So
all
doing
right,
10, 15 Ethereum at a time.
understood. Okay, okay. Well, listen, you don't work for the Cosmos Hub. You do this probably just out of curiosity and like a sixth grader's sense of like justice in the world, right? Like everything should be fair and all that. So I know I appreciate you coming on to explain it as best that you could. Was this the only chain that had to complete that patch?
I think there's a few others. I'm not sure whether they're patched yet, so I won't name them. But most of the primary Cosmos chains that have reasonable level of TVL or anything like that are all patched.
Got it. All right. Yeah, because
The
I
last part that
remember. Oh,
wanted to mention was we talked about the kind of other tokens. The primary reason this was flagged was because of the ASTRO price. So it kind of all started from there. I was on a space following up from the cart situation, and people went, "Hey, well, how about the ASTRO price?" And I kind of had a quick look and went, "Oh, all right. Well, obviously there's a whale exiting or something like that." And then checked the transaction, traced it back to Terra, and then Ray and I were looking into the transactions, and Ray spotted the particular IBC timeout call. And then we kind of posted about it, and Zachy went, "Oh yeah, it looks like this bug from back in April." And
yeah, that's
went,
why I
yeah,
was
so,
asking in the beginning because I remember hearing about this, and another content creator put out a tweet, and now I'm gonna have to go back and find the tweet. It was Gogo Diego posted something about IBC, and then I replied something about that exploit, and I explained it definitely wrong. It was secondhand information, and then all of a sudden, Jack Zamplin DM'd me, said, "What's this bullshit you're saying on Twitter?" And I said, "This is what I heard." He goes, "That's completely wrong." I'm like, "All right, I'll delete the tweet. I'm not going to set off a panic if the wrong person decides to retweet this." But it sounds like what I was saying was the same exact result, whether or not I explained it correctly or not, where the relayers connecting two different chains, they get tricked, and now there's too many tokens on one side of a bridge. But this was known in April, and I remember when this tweet happened, it was like a few weeks after that. And then I went and asked Ray. I said, what is it about this?" And he explained almost what you just explained to me, just typing it. So I wonder if at that time all the different chains were one by one doing the patch, and Terra just got left out because of all the nonsense that's happened with TFL. Maybe one of their team was responsible for doing this, or thought someone from there was responsible for doing it. I don't know.
So I've heard word that Terra patched this kind of back around, earlier in maybe kind of May, June-ish. And then they or maybe April, and then they unpatched it maybe a month or so ago, like a recent patch. I'm not a GitHub expert, but I've seen a few people trying to find the particular version and commit that says that they patched it, and they can't find it. So I don't know if it ever was. And from a TFL perspective, with all the lawsuits and all that sort of stuff, I could completely understand why they wouldn't necessarily do it. But it just kind of shows the state of Terra at the moment, right? Like no one's maintaining it. There's nothing on there except for the liquidity that's now no longer there. Because all the money there doesn't actually exist anymore. The USDC, they're all zero value fake tokens. The real money's already been escrowed out.
Whoa. This is Terra you're talking about.
And just to kind of finish up the ASTRO part, the reason why ASTRO got slammed was because they had a transmuter pool on Terra to help people migrate from the old token to the new one on Neutron.
Yeah.
So they IBC transferred over, I don't know, 80 million or so to help people be able to kind of swap between the old token and the new one. So that was the only other token that was kind of value that was front and center for the exploiter. So they They minted 50 odd million ASTRO tokens, and then IBC transferred 30 odd and sold 13 million, which dumped the price. They got 120, 130k USDC of ASTRO. And then the only one that, strangely enough, the only token on Terra that has value that is IBC'd on there is Whale. There's like substantial amounts of Whale staked in the Alliance module, which is IBC transferred. So they could have, if they knew, done the same thing with Whale. So long as there was a pool, they could have minted a bunch of Whale and then transferred it back to the Whale
And
chain.
you mean minting it on Terra or minting it on Neutron, the destination?
Minting it on Terra via the exploit. So
Okay.
they could have done the exact same thing they did with USDC and ASTRO with Whale, and then IBC transferred that back and sold that too. But they didn't touch it. A couple of things there. Maybe they just didn't know about it. They were on the main kind of TVL DEX and app and saw the token, or they explicitly didn't want to touch Whale.
All right. Well, I don't even know what to say. I feel like I'm okay with all this because I expect lots of things like this to happen. I don't necessarily expect major bridges to be getting exploited anymore like they were pretty much routinely 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Project tokens, yes. Small apps, small teams that don't get their contracts audited. These are risks that everyone takes. Hopefully people now know to ask questions, but also people like me, I cannot go through the Block Explorer. I am not even going to the GitHub website ever. So are people just kind of blindly using this, or is there a solution here or a lesson here?
It's just software. Like I've tweeted this so many times when everyone kind of says, some bridge gets hacked or exploited or whatever, and everyone kind of jumps up and down. And this is why IBC is the best in the world. And it's just software. Like you are no better than anyone else, except for the community of people who jump in and immediately patch chains and IBC whenever we find a bug or a vulnerability. And we're lucky enough that for the most part, we have a lot of white hats who raise these things and the people are quick enough to patch them and upgrade the chains. But it's software. Like I work in software development day in, day out. Everything has bugs. Your banks have bugs. Your phones have bugs. They just get patched and you move on. And sometimes they get exploited. And whether or not kind of Cosmos is super lucky or there's just not enough money here that people want to go after it.
I think that's definitely a blessing in disguise, because what can you really go after? Obviously, stable coins that you could quickly bridge over to ETH, maybe Atom to a certain limit. I mean, listen, thank God that this happened to a community that loves getting rugged, the Terra community. And I'm just happy that there was no effect on Cosmos Millions or one of those really important applications for Web3, because that would have been a complete disaster.
I would have been heartbroken. I think my 3 Atom that's staked in Cosmos Millions for when I was testing if it actually worked or not. I don't know how it'd survive.
Got some comments before I let you go. When software is not updated, people will always try to find weak spots. Is the answer just to continuously release these upgrades, or is it better to do one upgrade every several months or whatever that's been tested a bunch of times on testnet, or is it just all dependent?
You're always going to find bugs, and then there should be kind of versions that are deployed and people patch them. That's just how it happens. You roll forward in software development these days. You kind of you find a bug, you release a minor patch. People change the particular version of the binary or whatever. A lot of people in Cosmos don't know, and this is diverging a bit from IBC, but almost every single day there is a minor version of a chain somewhere that gets released, and the validators just update the binary and continue on, like patching a bug or a dependency version that wasn't patched, or a small exploit or whatever. It happens all the time. It's just hidden from 90% of people because you're not in all the validator chats. it's just software. Like you just have to deal with it, work with it. It's happens. The last, I was going to make another point, but I haven't had much sleep and I forgot.
No, that's all right. There was a question that I breezed past. Do you primarily use Mint Scan or do you make your own tools, dashboards? This might be helpful. Maybe you could rattle off some of the tools in case there are some aspiring kangaroos there that just have nothing better to do with their lives than search transactions and wallets.
Yeah,
Like
so
Ray,
kind of Zach XBT said this yesterday. Everyone was kind of tagging him saying, "Can you come and help us?" And he's like, "I don't work in Cosmos because A, the tooling is shit,
I
and
remember him
B,
saying that
you,
a long
you
time
don't get
ago.
support." Yeah, and it's true. Like the tooling, there are tools that are good, but there is nothing that is amazing. So tools that I use, MintScan, definitely one. It's good for certain types of transactions and the kind of multi-chain explorer, kind of seeing, clicking one wallet, seeing all of the, interchain wallets is great. Chain scope is amazing for kind of more visual representation of when token swaps happen. I'm happy to kind of link these and tweet them. But it's only on Osmosis and Terra. So kind of those really nice UIs and that sort of stuff is only on those two chains. A major one that we use is Range protocol from the kind of Range security team, kind of handling like IBC rate limit dashboards and stuff. That's really good. You can chuck in certain addresses and it tells you and builds out a little wallet map for kind of interconnected wallets across the ecosystem. They're building out more and more chains that they support. I think there's kind of 5 or 6, Osmosis, Neutron, etc. But it's good for building out like a little wallet map. So you can, you'll sleuth some wallets and you'll find that they've got like 50 Migaloo wallets, right? Because they've just kind of, farming airdrops or something like that, or they've got 20 Osmosis wallets because they're, staking 200 Osmo. That's really good. And then PingPub is good for your kind of smaller chains and specific transaction types that MintScan doesn't have. There's kind of most vesting type transactions don't appear in MintScan and stuff.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get through the block explorers. Like one transaction might have 8, 9 drop downs, and as a regular person, I'm like, I don't even know where my own tokens are, and I write them down on post-its just so I can keep track for my taxes. Do you like doing this, Rarma? Do you enjoy this?
Some of it, like a lot of it's really annoying. Like whenever I got to go and try and find like a particular thing that I don't overly enjoy, like some of the like the sale DAO stuff. I hate doing that. Like if it's just like actually trying to find like a team that rugged and trying to kind of provide information to people, I like informing people. That part's enjoyable. So being able to kind of tell them exactly what happened from an on-chain perspective with really no bias around who the people are and that sort of stuff is good. Just providing clarity, right? Like here is exactly what happened on chain. Here's the team that rugged and how they did it or whatever. Or the VC that's dumping, like that sort of stuff that people can just be aware of. That's good. But in terms of like just sitting there looking through blocks, no, it's not fun. Like I have better things to do.
I did it once. I was bored one night and I said, let me just track wallets. And I forget what wallet I started with. But man, you go through MintScan and just look at wallet balances and what they're connected to and what chains they're using, chains that you've never heard of that are IBC chains, like what's the medical one? What's the
Mediblock?
is it Mediblock? What's the
Yeah.
token called? Panacea? Is it?
No,
It might be
right now.
Mediblock, but I tracked like I don't know what it was. It was like
Yeah, the
8 or
chain's
9
called
million.
the actual chain binary is called Panacea. You're right, and
Right. So
chain is
I
called Mediblock.
I tracked an Atom wallet that was just transferring from wallet to wallet, then Osmosis, then to another Atom. It was like $8 or $9 million. And then I found one of their connected wallets that just had 6 million atoms sitting there unstaked. Not 6 million atoms, $6 million an atom. And then another wallet had moved over $1 million an atom through this Panacea chain. And then they had like 30 connected wallets to that. Are people manually doing this, or is this done by
Nah,
bots?
nah. So I tracked the Archway airdrop, and there's 100% like airdrop farms and like automated wallets that exist in Cosmos. And I've traced some of them back to kind of early ICO 2017, 18, 19. Sorry, my dates might be a bit wrong there, but whenever Atom first started, they originally got funded from the early Atom days, and they're out there and they're creating like from the OG days, creating like 150 osmosis wallets and staking them, and they all come from one address, right? So Archway, there was wallets where they were just like, here's one wallet, we're going to go and stake, one atom, and then they all received the Archway airdrop, and then they wrote a script, and they went through the on-chain activities, mint your arch name, stake one arch, whatever, claim your airdrop, and they all just went and did it at the same time. So someone's got a script, and they just kind of write it once, got all the wallets, hit run, and it goes and claims them. Farm the airdrop, dump it, move on.
All right. Well, speaking of airdrops, I made a video today about the lava airdrop and just how it's becoming harder and harder and harder for regular people to get those airdrops. Your opinion on having very, very specific criteria that often changes last minute to distribute airdrops?
At the end of the day,
in other words, have you ever stumbled on something that's like so obvious, like, oh, this person is a big wig in Cosmos, and it looks like they got an outsized airdrop because the team changed criteria or had very specific criteria, and then they just went and dumped the airdrop, almost like an early advisor, but instead of getting an allocation, it happens via airdrop.
Not like exact kind of on chain transactions, but I think you can easily see like where a lot of the kind of cartel type airdrops and stuff come from, right? Like the Sloths collection is a great example. Like that collection, from what I hear, was funded to be created, and the way in which they did it was cool. But it's no coincidence that like the Bad Kids whale, who owned 140 of them, like a month or so prior, just started offloading all of their Bad Kids, and then immediately bought like 100 sloths, right? Like these things don't just
somebody
happen.
Knows the point of my video was somebody knew something, otherwise they would have sold one just to cover all their expenses of accumulating all of that, right? So
yeah, and all of the kind of alignment stuff around tier, like, hey, let's airdrop all of these GitHub commits and relayers and stuff like that. Relayers I don't have a problem with. They're probably one of the most under supported people in the ecosystem. They make our transactions happen. But like, you shouldn't receive like 20 or 30,000 tier for making some GitHub commits. Like, you're giving away tokens that other people are buying because you contributed to code somewhere else that you also got paid for, right? Like, it needs to be more in line with kind of realistic expectations, which the lava airdrop, I think the airdrop was kind of shit in the criteria, like, hey, one sloth and $2 worth of stars, that's fair enough. But then I think it was 2 or more Bad Kids, where you're just being really specific around kind of who you're airdropping to, which is, again, if you're trying to cut down the amount of wallets, no problem.
It's a great way to do it. Yep.
Yeah, which you're cutting out a lot of airdrop farmers and that sort of stuff. But like, why make it one sloth then? Why not make it kind of 2 sloths, unless you're trying to get alignment?
Almost nobody has two
sloths.
sloths. That would have been pretty obvious, I think.
Yeah,
I think
well, I have 2 sloths. They're just on different wallets because I'm airdrop farming. Like, why wouldn't I? And then the way they did their token launch, I think, is fine. Like, completely unlocked token. True market just price discovery. If it's in the gutter, it's in the gutter, but it's better than kind of having heaps of locked tokens that VCs can dump. Just let people choose what price they buy and sell it. That's a good approach. Almost think that you kind of just get rid of airdrops. Just if you like the token and you like the idea, buy it.
Oh yeah. No, I was looking at sloths today for the same reason, and I was looking at the wallets, and I don't know. There's about, let's see, how many wallets are there? I was just looking at this today, and now I'm looking at it again. There's like 2,000 some odd wallets that own sloths, and only like 30 or 40 have more than one in the same wallet. If they made it 2 or more sloths in the same wallet, I mean, then it would have been obvious that they were narrowing down this airdrop to specific people who were in that group. So I'm expecting there to be a massive airdrop at some point where each sloth is getting paid out a good amount, because there's almost no wallets with 2 or more, but then there's a whole bunch with 10 or more, right? So I think that some people know something. I sold mine for like $4,000 last week or the week before. I was happy to just cash in because I'm not airdrop farming. If I'm not going to get hit with airdrops blindly, I'm just not going to get any airdrops. Plus, I'm geo blocked 90% of the time. So that's not financial advice. Timmy or the other 2 people in the chat, probably girls. A lot of girls watch this show. So, yeah, no, I'm just curious if you ever done some hunting around airdrops, because I would expect a lot of, like you said, cartel type wallets to be getting hit as early advisors, but also getting hit with airdrops doing specific things. I would really love to know the Atom buying activity and staking activity leading up to the Juno airdrop, because that was a massive airdrop to the Atom stakers, right? I would like to know, in the 3 months leading up to that, was there any unusual buying and staking of Atom that soon after got unstaked and sold? I think that'd be an interesting one. If you're bored the next 30 days and you have time to look through it, just go back.
I was in Cosmos before Juno came to Genesis. I built around just before, I believe, and I remember people talking about staking Atom to get the Juno airdrop, like 100%. Like, Takumi splitting his wallets, as much as people are kind of like, oh, game the airdrop or whatever, not getting back into that, but like, it's just like there's a 50K cap. And there was like 9 wallets or something that had the 50K cap. Like, you don't do that for security. You do that because you're farming the airdrop, and people have talked about it.
I mean, yeah. That was too obvious. Like, I feel like they were friends and had a falling out. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, and also maybe the clients were probably some of them core 1 people. I would imagine. I wouldn't be shocked, let's say. And I also think the hiding behind the language barrier is by design as well. So the guy did get screwed. So I want to be
a lot of Japanese people speak very good English. So
what's that?
A lot of Japanese people speak very good English.
Sure.
His Medium article was written quite well. Whether he had help with that or not, who knows?
They speak.
Moving on, I'm so over the Prop 60 and Juno stuff. Unfortunately for Juno, I think it's next in line to be the Terra.
There's nothing left to steal, which might make it actually wonderful. But
there's a few 100,000. There's a bunch of Atom that's on Windex. I think there's still a bunch.
That's not even enough to fund an audio-visual budget for a crypto conference. All right.
True. Yeah. If you include the banners and the drapes.
Hey, for people that are in the chat, and Rarma, this is probably the first time I'm telling you this. I'll say this, we're at the end of the stream. No one's watching this. If you have it on your phone, you're doing something else. I was told after the Columbia Cosmoverse by someone who's on a first name basis with Cito that said he had a quote from that audio-visual company. About 10 days before Cosmoverse, they came back to him and doubled the price, and he had to pay it because they were too close to the event and there wasn't enough time to double back and find a new company. Then I believe the same person who's on a first name basis with Cito told me that Cito used to live in Colombia and he worked for that company at one point. Take that information however you want. Listen, I put on a conference with 50 people, 70 people. It's not easy and it's not that much fun to plan it. It's really not. But I mean, the crypto people are getting taken all the time. I would not be surprised if that happened, especially in a country like Colombia. Just saying. I don't know if anyone has heard something similar. That's what I heard. I can't confirm, but the source is as good as it gets. That's all I'm going to say.
It's almost like we need proper, true accounting and budgeting when the community's funding events. It's kind of
There's
crazy,
no
right?
way to do proper accounting on the internet. There is no system of consensus and accounting that currently exists with our technology in 2024. It just doesn't exist. And now the chat is going to talk shit. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Sisla. Are you with Sisla right now? Jose Xavier?
Sisla's great, by the way. He's great people. And I would listen to him if he was to kind of weigh into something. I'm more curious around, having a $300,000 or $340,000 audiovisual budget that includes banners. I would always think that audiovisual production is around, cameras, lighting, and that sort of stuff. Maybe we could break it down a little bit more so we can get an understanding. If we paid $50K for some banners, then there's some questions probably to be asked, right? If 60 or 80K of that over 3 days was salaries for 30 people managing it, no problem, right? Just having an understanding of kind of how it was broken down, and it enables you to kind of go, hey, it's actually not that bad when you're paying, 2K a day for an audio visual guy who is on a contract. They only work a couple of days. You got to pay them higher wages, right? All makes sense.
Not only that, they're there in case something goes wrong. They could fix it on the fly. So you're paying almost an insurance policy. I'm with you. I'm just telling you, for the people in the chat that like to go digging through things like that, there you go. It might be a dead end. The person could have lied to me, but I remember specifically those details because not that long before that breakdown of Cosmoverse Columbia expenses was circulating, and that's when me and Tank got the idea to do NFT Nashville. We're like, we could probably do that for 100th of the cost, and we pretty much did. But our audio-visual budget was zero, and we ran the whole thing off of a Chromebook. So a $200 Chromebook, which I still have. So anyway, man, I appreciate you coming on. I know you had you have something to do. Next time we'll have a more fun topic for you. But at Rarma, if you want to ping him, he's available 24/7 to dig through wallets. He will find the $50 that you lost, and he'll bring the hackers to justice. Good old-fashioned Outback justice.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. It's always good to chat with you, Joe. I love your banter.
It's been a while, man. It's been a while. How are those shower beers treating you?
Sorry?
How are those shower beers treating you?
It's winter at the moment, so no shower beers, just beers. But we are coming out of winter very, very soon, so the shower beers will be back. Summer days, it will be great.
All right. I'll let you get out of here. I'll explain to the chat what a shower beer is, and I'm getting out of here too. Thanks a lot, man. Haven't talked to Rarma in a long time. That was fun. He gave an easy to understand overview of what happened with the exploit. The ASTRO token was kind of like an intermediary that suffered the price just because it was available. And there you go. Cashed out some USDC, some Bitcoin, and some USDT, all because of the wonderful inter-blockchain communication protocol. And if any of you figure out how to get some free USDC, free Bitcoin, free Tether, just drop that in the chat and I'll reward you with some Osmo tokens. How's that? But for people that are still in the chat, there's quite a few of you in the chat. Let me tell you what a shower beer is, and then I'm going to get out of here. Actually, you could tell me in the chat if you want to know what a shower beer is. Otherwise, I won't waste your time. But man, it was heartbreaking to have IBC get exploited for so much, and then knowing that it was kind of a known weakness in the code. But all right, let me tell you what the shower beer is. So shower beer is when you are a parent and you have more kids than there are parents in the house, and you go into the bathroom to drink your beers. That's what that is. And if you're a father of 3 or more, I think you've drank some beers either on the toilet or in the shower, hence the term shower beer. That's the educational component of today's live stream. I'll see you all next month, which will be August, and it starts tomorrow. Bradley, you are right, but there are some whippersnappers here that have never envisioned hiding from their family in the bathroom